Thank you for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim-Nakrin. Of course, such a somber week for so many in Barrow County, and students are allowed back inside Apalachee High School today for the first time since last week's deadly mass shooting there. They're able to retrieve their belongings there, and law enforcement officials are still working together to put together a timeline leading up to that mass shooting at Apalachee High School. We have some startling new information as well. The teenage suspect's mother is reportedly saying that she tried to warn the school before the shooting, which killed 2 students and 2 teachers and injured 9 others. Atlanta News First Don Chipman is outside the high school with the brand new details.
Imagine making that call. She called the school in a panic about 30 minutes before that mass shooting. She wanted staff to check on her son to see if he was okay.
He pulled the triggers. He killed people, and he's my grandson, and it breaks my damn heart.
The teen shooting suspect's grandfather says Colt Gray sent his mother, Marcy Gray, a text message on the morning of the mass shootings.
Marcy got a text on the phone from Colt saying, "I'm sorry, Mother." And then we heard on the news of the shooting.
Another relative says the boy's mother called the school 30 minutes before the killings, warning staff of, quote, an extreme emergency involving her son, urging them to find her son and check on him. The day before, the 14-year-old's grandmother met with teachers at the school.
They were having some problems with him not going to school and this kind of thing.
While law enforcement officials attempt to piece together a timeline of that morning, Barrow County teachers gathered outside Apalachee High School today in a display of solidarity, one day before classes are set to resume at the district's 16 other schools.
I'm numb still.
In a message to parents, school officials also announcing students can begin collecting their belongings from Apalachee High. Many left behind their book bags, even their cell phones, as they ran from gunfire, seeking safety. Did you text your mom?
I didn't have my phone. We all had our phones in like pockets on the wall. I still don't have mine.
That retrieval process, by the way, is happening this afternoon. The big question, though, what will that look like? Will students be allowed inside the school? No doubt, if they are, it will be a very emotional experience. We're in Barrow County. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
And the community really trying to offer support to the victims' families, and the survivors. Atlanta News First Asia Wilson reports from Apalachee High School because there was a massive vigil there last night, and there have been multiple vigils honoring the shooting victims.
Hundreds of people were gathered here at Apalachee High School's football stadium, along with at Flowery Branch High School for a celebration of life event there. It's been about love, support, and unity all weekend, and you can see that support still outside here at the entrance of the school. Apalachee High School's football stadium was filled with people for a candlelight visual last night. This was the first time many had been back since the shooting occurred on Wednesday. If you can remember, the football field was where students and staff had to evacuate after investigators say 14-year-old freshman Colt Gray opened fire on campus, killing 2 teachers and 2 students, injuring 9 others. Also last night, there was a celebration of life for Coach Richard Aspinwall at Flowery Branch High School. People remembering him as a loving husband, devoted father, and dedicated teacher and coach. Now, with parental permission, at both vigils, we spoke with some students who shared how they're coping with this awful tragedy.
People are supporting the families that have lost their loved ones or dealt with an injured loved one. Right now, all we need is each other for support.
We live in a very cruel and unfair world. And you learn to mourn and you learn to be sad, but you mourn with someone that has hope for the future.
Now, I've been speaking with students, parents, and business owners in the community, and they all tell me right now they're just relying on their faith and community support for the coming days ahead. In Winder, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
And when first responders arrived at Wednesday's mass shooting at Apalachee High School, Atlanta News First Investigates discovered staff had access to a special toolkit that may have helped save lives. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Andy Parati has more to explain what that is.
We're talking about these Stop the Bleeding kits. Nearly all of Georgia's schools have them on hand, and Barrow County first responders say they were on the scene when they arrived. Earlier today, we asked an expert with the Georgia Trauma Commission to demonstrate how they're used when seconds count. The contents inside this kit could help prevent a killing. Crystal Shelnut works with the Georgia Trauma Commission, demonstrating how to use a Stop the Bleeding kit, a tool Atlanta News First Investigates confirmed was on the scene when first responders arrived after the mass shooting at Apalachee High on Wednesday.
You know, of course, that's the worst case imaginable, right? But it's also why it's important that we have these spread throughout the school. They're in multiple locations, that everybody is trained on how to use them.
Showing us the compression gauze, scissors, and a tourniquet inside.
The tourniquet will loop around, and then the band is pulled as tight as you can get it. Once that's in place, now we're going to begin to turn the windlass, and this windlass would be turned until the bleeding is controlled. And this is called wound packing. So the idea is that we're going to fill the wound from the inside out, and then after that, we're going to hold really firm pressure.
How quickly do you want to act in using this kit?
We call it the platinum 10 minutes. So the first 10 minutes after an injury are really important, that we have life-saving interventions.
What's the #1 piece of advice when using this kit?
If you think they need it, go ahead and apply it.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
That was Crystal Shelnut, who works with the Georgia Trauma Commission. Another piece of advice that she offers is know where these are located in your school or business so that you're not looking for them during a crisis event. These kits typically cost about $80, but if you buy them on the Georgia Trauma Commission's website, you can save about $30. Andy Parati, Atlanta News First Investigates.
And as students, families, and community members struggle in the aftermath of the tragic events at Apalachee High, others are doing what they can to help physically and emotionally. Atlanta News First reporter Josh Skinner spoke to people out there working to provide support.
Barrow County is a community struggling in the aftermath of a mass shooting, but it's facing these struggles together.
What does it mean to be a community?
These are all your neighbors and all ultimately family and all here to help.
Because on days when we want to stop and yet the world continues to blow by, we have each other.
As much as I can help my family in this community, that's what we're here to do.
Timothy Culleton owns nearby All County Towing in Winder and is offering free car tows for people who aren't ready to see this.
One of the last things you need to worry about at a time like this is getting your car back.
He moved here from New Jersey for this community, where a line has been crossed at a time when people find strength in each other or in a furry shoulder.
You know, you do what you can to help what you can, even if it's just loading up a dog and throwing him in a car and driving 20 minutes up the road.
So as the community searches for answers and asks for grace from a higher power, it finds solace in the light within itself, especially during its darkest day.
One coward or one action is not going to deafen the sounds of anybody in this community.
In Winder, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
And a flower shop in Winder flooded with requests, community members purchasing bows like that. All the proceeds going to families of the victims in the Apalachee school shooting. Atlanta News First Sawyer Bussey tells us it's just one of many ways the community is stepping up to support each other.
This has rocked the whole community.
What do you do when there's nothing you can do? When you can't reach back in time and make a wrong right? When you can't bring someone's loved one back or help a child feel safe in school? The answer is you do what you can. Here at a flower shop in Winder, we're making bows.
Ann's Flower and Gifts.
The bows are a fundraiser, $10 a piece.
It has been an overwhelming response already.
This ringing phone is the soundtrack of the day. This is something that can be done in one of the darkest times in this town's history. The shop has made close to 300 bows in less than 24 hours with pages and pages and pages of orders to fill.
Feeling helpless, for one thing, not knowing what to do. And it was the first thing that I saw.
We've had friends from all over the community offer their help. We've had friends bring food. We've got friends here that do not work with us who are helping us, and I've got more coming that will help tie bows as well.
Posted outside the shop are 3 words said by law enforcement officers earlier this week. Love will prevail.
It just makes me feel grateful that I can contribute in some way. It's a humbling experience, and I'm just grateful that I can do it.
In Winder, Sawyer Bussey, Atlanta News First.
How you can support the victims.
This
We have
tragedy
more.
is so hard to comprehend for so many reasons. And there's a lot.
And to learn how you can support the victims, we have resources on atlantanewsfirst.com. You can also download our free app. Thanks for joining us.